Birmingham, the second city, home to two football clubs, both backed by passionate armies of devoted fans. Whilst neighbours Villa will always have their league and European success to talk about, the Blue Noses have been through hard times. Owners who make questionable decisions, managers change time after time, all with different philosophies, players not always living up to the hype. Birmingham fans have had to be patient, watching on, waiting for the better days, the sale of their brightest prospects giving false hope. Today, I'm going to step into the dugout at St Andrews as I rebuild Birmingham City. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am frankly FM84. Thanks for catching me on another video right here on YouTube. Today we are back with another brand new rebuild challenge. You might have seen by the thumbnail, by the description, we are going to be stepping into the dugout at St Andrews down in the second city as we take on the rebuilding of Birmingham City. This one is going to be fun. All the other ones we've started in the top flight never really had to look for promotion in the first season, but today we're going to be taking that challenge of starting in the Championship with a team that's predicted to finish in 16th place by the media. And we're going to see if we can get them back into the big time and if we can have any success along the way. We're going to give ourselves 4 seasons to get Birmingham into the Premier League and get them as close to winning a league or a cup competition as we possibly can. Right then, let's jump straight into this one. You can see we have a brand new game loaded up, and this is going to be the basis of what we are going to start with. Let's start by having a little look at the club. If we hit the club info page, you can see that Birmingham City are a club that was founded in 1875. They are a professional club with a 3-star reputation. It states that their finances are just okay. Their media prediction is 16th in the league, so not the best for the start of the save, but we are going to look to improve that quite quickly. Training facilities, 3.5 stars. They train at a place called the West Hills. Lovely place. I've actually been there. It's a decent enough facility, and certainly when they were in the Premier League, it was serving them really well. They have also got a 3.5-star youth facility. That obviously is how they are coming through with players like Jude and Joe Bellingham. They have also had players like Damari Gray come through the doors too. So a good youth academy and setup at Birmingham means that they can pass players to their first team, or in the case of Jude Bellingham, just sell them on for massive profit, which the club never sees. Junior coaching, 2.5 stars, and youth recruitment, 2 stars. So I think that's slightly harsh. Youth recruitment down at Birmingham City is really good. They have latched on to some really good young players, brought them through into the first team, and like I said, sold them on for profit. So maybe that's a little bit harsh. Looking then at the key players, you can see Troy Deeney is club captain, former Watford striker. He's a Birmingham City fan. He has come to the club at the age of 33 to try and help them realise their dreams of getting back into the Premier League. Their vice captain is Lukas Djukovic, 32-year-old striker, so a bit of competition up top there. We're only going to play a 1-striker system, so guess which of the two might be on the move straight away. Their key player is Troy Deeney. Their top prospect is Jordan James, a 17-year-old Welsh midfielder who plays on the right. Let's have a little look then at what they have won in their history. So 3 Sky Bet championships. So that's going to be old first divisions, is it? No, it's going to be 3 second division in England. So championship level, 1921, 1948, 1955. They have won 2 Carabao Cups or League Cups. 1963, 2011, the most recent one, Nicolas Zigic with that goal against Arsenal. Then they have won Sky Bet League 1 once in 1995 and 2 Papa John's trophies, 91 and 95. Looking at their little graph at the bottom here for league history, you can see 2000 started off 5th in the Championship, and they maintained that the next season before jumping into the Premier League, finishing 13th, then 10th, then back to 12th. Then they were relegated in 18th before coming back up through the Championship, finishing 2nd. They then got relegated again, then got promoted again. Then they had their best season, 9th place finish in 2009-2010, before falling back out of the league in 2010-2011, finishing 18th. They then went into the Championship and finished 4th, and then 12th, and then 21st, clinging on the last day to survive and stay in the division. 2014-15 10th, they maintained 10th, and then they have been hovering around the relegation zone. So 19th, 19th, 17th, 20th, and 18th the previous season before the game. So this is really going to be a big, big task. I'm not under any illusion that this could be really, really difficult. Birmingham City, let's see what we have in terms of finances. The answer is obviously not a lot. They have £5.8 million in the bank. There is no transfer budget available, but it doesn't really matter. There's no transfers in the first transfer window in these rebuilds anyway. If there is any money in January, we'll look to spend that, but I'm not holding out too much hope with only £5.8 million in the bank to begin with. Wage budget of £312,000. There is £5,000 gap in that, with current spending of £307,000. Surprisingly, as a local, Birmingham have had all kinds of financial difficulties. They are on course to pass FFP. Some crazy things going on around the club. They've had some wacky owners. Yeah, they really have been through the ringer. I think it's going to be difficult, but it's time to start pulling this club, who are a bit of a sleeping giant. Let's face it, in the last 20 years they've been in the Premier League and they have won a domestic cup. So they are a team that really should be doing a lot better than they have been in the past couple of seasons. What is expected of us from the board then? So the board wants us to play entertaining football, develop players using the club's youth system, as I said. Players like Bellingham, Jude Bellingham and Job Bellingham. Look out for him. He's not in the game yet because of his age, I believe. But when he does come into the game, you will see that there isn't just one Bellingham out there. There is two Bellinghams out there. Damari Gray was another one that came through the youth system here. Obviously went off and played for Leicester City, won the league there, and all the things that come with that. Play attacking football. Preferred playing style. They want attacking football. They want entertaining football. So two things that our tactic normally provides. So fingers crossed we'll get that one done straight away. They want us to work within the wage budget. We are currently doing that. There is a little gap there. And then they want us at the end of the current season, when I put my teeth back in and I can talk, end of the current season, mid-table in the Championship, reach the 4th round as a minimum in the FA Cup, and reach the 3rd round as a minimum in the Carabao Cup. That one's going to be interesting. By the end of the 22-23 season, they want us to record an EFL Championship top half finish. And they want to then reach the playoffs in the 23-24 season and continue to challenge for playoff places going forward. So even though they're a board that have messed the club up completely, chopped and changed managers, players coming in left, right and centre not performing, no money in the bank, they are quite ambitious and they want us to hit the ground running and get some success. So might find it a little bit difficult, but it's well worth the go. We go to the squad page then, and as always, go to the assistant report to see what our best 11 is at the start of the game. Not too sure I trust this at all because Mr. Deeney is not up top despite being our most important and key player. But they've got Etheridge in goal, Pedersen, Roberts, Mengi, Colin, Woods, Bakuna, Gary Gardner, Hernandez, Chung and Taylor. So some lone players in there. Don't really want to be using loan players going forwards, but Chung is on loan from Manchester United. We also have Mengi's on loan from Manchester United. So Birmingham doing some good deals there with Manchester United. They have a few loan players in the squad. As I said, don't really like using the loan system, but if they're at the club first season, we are going to go all out for it. Squad depth. This is one that could catch us out though. I mean, 2 goalkeepers on the books, 3 left backs, 2 right backs. So with no transfer window at the start, we are going to have to try and bulk the squad out in January where we can. Might be a little bit light. Can't actually see Troy Deeney on any of these squad depths, so not too sure if he's injured. I'm absolutely blind. Troy Deeney's actually right here, right at the top. Don't know why I missed that. I don't know why I was going off on that tangent about him being injured, because he obviously isn't. Here is Troy Deeney, 33 years old, still looks a really good footballer, even at the age of 33. And hopefully he's going to be the one that will help us progress through this league. So that is us pretty much done for an intro. We know the places we need to improve. We know the ambitions of the board. We know there is no money to spend. There is no transfers in the first window. What can we do? Let's jump in to the end of the first season and see what has happened as we start to rebuild Birmingham City. Here we go then. The date is the 1st of June 2022 and we are at the end of the first season. So that is the first championship season and it's now complete. As I said, we had no transfers at the start of the first window. We could only make some deals in the January and it turns out there was no money to spend. We did try to generate some money. A few players did leave the club. Jordan James went out on loan and Lukas Djukovic ended up going to Jagiellonia. I think that's in Poland. For £25,000, so absolutely nothing doing. Lots of players on the left-hand side, you can see they were already at the club. They'd been bought in before we took over, but the one player we did pick up was Jerome Sinclair, former Liverpool and Watford player. Not really the most inspirational of signings, but he's still young at 25. He has decent pace, decent acceleration, and in terms of championship football, we were going to try and plug him in. It turns out he didn't actually play too many games. The squad depth was just about enough for what we needed. No money. We tried to plug in a few more free transfers, but couldn't get them over the line. So we just decided to try and save the money, see what would happen at the end of the season, and then spend big going forward. So, with so little to do with transfers, we're going to jump straight into the competitions tab. What has happened in the first year? The answer to that question is somehow we have won the championship. 100 points has got us into the Premier League at the first time of asking. This was really bizarre. I thought we had no chance. That media prediction of finishing 16th was brutal. I thought this is going to be a real slog. It turns out we absolutely flew through the season, beat teams that I didn't think we were going to beat. We did so well. It was so good. We're going to run through the Premier League season in just a moment, but the first thing is the FA Cup. We got to the quarter-final of the FA Cup also. We got knocked out by Tottenham Hotspur. We did only get to the second round of the Carabao Cup, so the board are going to be grumpy at us for that. But let's start off over here in this tab. Sky Bet Championship. You can see we didn't need the playoffs. We won the league. 46 played, 31, 10 drawn, 6 lost. A goal difference of 60, 100 points to go up as well. Beating Fulham by a full 3 points. Beating Bournemouth by 13 points. And we were 20 points clear of QPR. 22 clear of Sheffield United. So we were well in command in the championship. Looking at it then, I did predict that Troy Deeney might have to be the man to fire us forward. He did. 21 goals he scored in the first campaign that he has been at the club. Absolute fantastic haul for a 33-year-old who was just dropped out of the Premier League, and he fired us to most of these glories. Nobody in the average ratings though. Maybe it's something to do with the squad size, maybe not having the right players, or trying to mould players into positions that we needed. Not too fussed there. Assists also not too fussed there. We had Maxime Collin getting 6 Man of the Match awards, and Christian Pedersen was a naughty boy, getting 18 yellow cards across the season. But fantastic way to go up in the first season. Really wasn't expecting it. As I said, 30 wins, 10 draws, 6 losses, 60 goal difference, and 100 points. Let's go to the home tab and have a little look at our own player stats then. In the bottom left hand corner you can see Troy Deeney scored 23 goals. Mark Roberts was the highest average player with 7.36. Ryan Wood's got the most assists with 15. Mark Roberts the best pass completion with 95%. Maxime Collin and Mark Roberts got the most player of the match awards with 6. Pedersen most yellow cards, and Pedersen got himself sent off 4 times in a single season. You must really love Birmingham City, because every time he gets a red card he gets fined, which meant the club kept the money, which would have gone in his pocket, and we were smiling because we need every penny we can get, so he could carry on doing that for as long as he wants. A brilliant season all in. Let's have a look then at the finances for the Premier League. Now obviously when you go up you do get a big bump in the finances. We've got a positive transfer budget but a negative in terms of the club overall balance. 7.4 million in the red, but we have a transfer budget of £22.2 million, a wage budget of £427,000, which means we've got nearly £150,000 to play with in terms of signing players. Skating budget's been increased to £519,000 too, so it's a good amount of money. I am a little bit concerned about the overall balance of the club, so I don't know if we go too mental, but then we're going to have to get into the Premier League and get stuck in and try and do our best to stay there. So I'm probably going to sit here and say I don't want to spend too much money, but I'm going to spend every penny of that, I am sure. Going on to the club vision then. After the first season, we are job security, untouchable. Play entertaining football, pleased. Develop players within the youth system. Reserving judgment. We haven't really had a chance to do that. We put Jordan James and Cameron Smith, in from the youth teams up. There were some regens that were already at the club that were looking quite positive. So that's a good thing. I think it's one for the future, developing the players, because depending on what we do with that £22 million is whether we're going to go and get players or we're going to have to develop players using the youth system. So that will become more clear as we move forwards in the season. Remember, we have 4 years to do this. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team has been added. Play possession football has been added. Play high tempo pressing football. So the board are getting more demanding with the entertaining, attacking, possession, high tempo pressing football. So God knows if we're going to do all of those, but we'll give it a good go because that's what we do in the rebuilds. Right then, moving on to the 5-year plan then. So work within the wage budget, we're on course. Sign players to sell for a profit. I think we're doing that because we were buying, like obviously we got just the one free transfer on the way in, but if we can go out and buy a few youngsters and then move them on, we can achieve that. We can make that happen. Minimum of 3-year contracts for first team players. So a few players' contracts were up. We have renewed a few of them. However, with a lot of players needing to come in, that means there will be a few players going out. This squad is threadbare in certain positions. We'll have a look at that in a minute, but we're going to need to spend money. They want us to bravely fight against relegation in the Premier League first season back and then continue to remain in the Premier League going forward. So they understand it's going to be difficult. The squad isn't really ready, and yeah, I'm going to go and spend some money. If we have a look at the squad then, just to give you an idea of how it looks going into the Premier League season, you can see we now have Etheridge, Pedersen, Friend, Roberts and Colin, Sunjic, Woods, Bacuna, Graham, Bella and Troy Deeney. So not a squad really that is built for the Premier League. Maybe Sunjic, Deeney, Bacuna maybe. They're the 3 that I think are obviously Premier League ready. The rest of them, Bella, Graham, not sure. Pedersen doesn't stay on the pitch very often, 4 red cards. He probably won't even stay on the pitch in the Premier League. George Friend is getting on a bit. Etheridge, as a goalkeeper. And Colin at right back. Roberts did do well in terms of the average ratings. So much to get through. We are now going to jump forward to the end of season 2. We are going to have a good go at staying in the Premier League. We will show you what players have left, what players have come in. Let's move forward and continue the Birmingham City rebuild. We are back then and another season is complete. The first season in the Premier League for Birmingham City after promotion, winning the championship. 1st of June 2023, we started with the transfer business pretty much straight away. As I said, we needed to go out and strengthen the team. In this first part of the window, we were trying to get some budget players. We were looking at filling the squad out because the squad depth was quite threadbare. So looking at picking up players who we can just put in mould into the club, and then hopefully they can help keep us in the Premier League. Starting on the right hand side, so the first part is in the 21-22 season still, so a few more players went out there. Joshua Williams, Oriol Soldevilla and Marcel Oakley all went out on loan. If we move it forwards, there is a lot more going out in the second part, but let's run through the players that we signed then. So Vontae Daly Campbell was the first one to come in. If you remember, we only had 3 left backs and 3 right backs, or 3 left backs and 2 right backs at the club. So the first place we started picking players up was left and right back. That one, 195,000 from Leicester. Jacob Davenport then came in, defensive midfielder, coming in from Blackburn, giving us a little bit of an option there. Mr. Johnny Kenny, you may have seen my video on the channel about Mr. Johnny Kenny. Absolute steal. We did have to pay quite a bit more than I did in that video. Like, this was a £10 million purchase. But this kid is going to develop into a beast of a striker. Once we unlock that potential, you are going to see exactly why I was raving about Johnny Kenny in that video. Bailey Peacock Farrell has come in. Etheridge was our goalkeeper before. This is a younger version, 26 years old. He's got Premier League experience. He's going to have to be the first choice goalkeeper at the start of the Premier League campaign. Whether he stays there, I don't know, but that was the first person that we come across on the scouting report. We went and picked him up on the cheap for £170,000. We then signed Adrian Powen. I'm going to say Adrian Powen. He is an attacking midfielder on the left, midfielder centre, attacking midfielder centre. A decent enough player, can play in a number of roles. Good stamina, good acceleration, passing of 11, probably could be better, finishing of 12, dribbling 13, first touch of 13. So a bit of a dynamic player who can hopefully come in and help the team in a rotation option. Christian Monae is another signing who came in from Cluj, another Romanian. This is a player that I think, if I remember correctly, we had on the Leeds United save. Right back at the start of the FM22 cycle, the first save. He's a solid right back. Tackling of 13, pace of 14, acceleration 13, marking. Everything's there. It's all good. It's a lot better than what we had. Like I said, we had just 2 options at right back. So to go and get him on the cheap was a brilliant signing. 800,000 for him. So the 2 Romanians costing 1.6 million between them. Guillermo Maripan was the next player. Centre defender, big, strong, 6'4", stamina of 15, strength of 15, jumping reach 16, tackling of 15. This guy is absolutely solid, and for the amount of money we paid, I think he's an absolute steal. £600,000 for him. Matthew Smith was the next one in from Arsenal, midfielder centre, who's just a rotation option. Came in quite highly rated by the scouts, but I'm not 100% sure he's going to make it, but he's always there as an option. Carabao Cups, FA Cups, those kinds of things. So that was that part of the season done. We then went forward and there was a lot more activity to come. Players going out, so Chris Ogur, Josh Andrews, Tate Campbell, Kyendra Simmons, he went to Sheffield United for 195,000. Oni, Jordan Graham went to Derby for 2.1 million. Etheridge went to West Ham for 1.3 million. Fogarty, Jordan James going out on loan. Developing him outside of the club is a really good option if you're playing as Birmingham City. George Hall went to Preston for £250,000, and Oriol Soldevilla also going out on loan outside of the club. So that means that we needed a few more players. We spent a little bit more money. We also got some bargains in here. Tyler Walker is a player that I have noticed scores goals in League One, and I thought when we were in the Championship he probably would have been the perfect player there. I took a bit of a punt because we only have Troy Deeney now up top. We also have just bought Johnny Kenny, but Tyler Walker coming in, can play off the left, can play up top. I know he scores goals. It'd be interesting to see just how good he can be in the Premier League. So we picked him up on the cheap, £1.6 million. We sent a player the other way, so it really offset it. The next player we signed was Sean Longstaff. I wasn't really convinced about this one. Coming on £19,500. He was just end of contract from Newcastle. We know he can be a decent player. Again, it's something that was better than what we had in the middle of the park, and he's somebody who can come in and do a job. And even if we sell him on, he's 25 years old. If we sell him on in a couple of years' time, we're going to make profit regardless because we haven't paid a penny. The next free player we signed was Martin Neto. This is a player I haven't come across before. Portuguese, central midfielder. He absolutely looks like a gem for a free transfer. Our scouts went absolutely nuts. He's gone from a free transfer to a 39 to 45 million pound rated footballer. He has 5-star potential. Really pleased with that signing. The next player was Tyler Maglory. However we pronounce this, Maglory, I think. He is a 6-foot centre back, also cover at right back. He's got good tackling, good stamina, good pace, good acceleration. Player who I don't think he's going to play too many games, but he's there literally just to make up the numbers. And then the signing of the window, maybe, even though he's paid more money for Kenny, Dominic Yankov is a player that is absolutely brilliant in a couple of seasons' time. In some games I've seen him at the likes of Manchester United, Manchester City, Real Madrid. We now have him as a Birmingham City player, valued at 20 to 23 million pounds, already playing for the Bulgarian national team. He's that good. So really pleased to have got that deal over the line. So Spent a lot of money, had to invest because of moving into the Premier League. Was it all worth the money? Let's have a look. Let's go to the competitions tab and find out. In the Premier League, we managed to finish 7th in our first season. The board wanted us to fight bravely against relegation. We finished 7th and we have qualified for the Conference League, which means that in the 3rd season, we are going to have European football after only 1 season back in the Premier League. It's fantastic news. Moving on across, and then we'll come back to the Premier League. FA Cup, knocked out in the 5th round by Tottenham Hotspur. Knocked out in the 2nd round of the Carabao Cup by Watford. So again, the board probably aren't going to be happy about that. But it's all about the Premier League. Let's have a little look then. So, 38 games, 20 wins, 5 draws, 13 losses, a goal difference of 4. Goal difference of 4. That's really not good. Somehow we've got 65 points with a goal difference of 4. Amazing. And also we finished above Aston Villa just to have a little knock at the City rivals. Looking at the player stats, you can see nobody in the top goal scorers, nobody in the average ratings, nobody in the assists, nobody in the player of the matches, nobody in the clean sheets. Yellow cards though, discipline a bit of an issue here. Maxime Collin 14 and Christian Monae in his first season 14 yellow cards too. So let's have a look then what has happened at the club. So we can see that even though we brought in Johnny Kenny and Tyler Walker, Troy Deeney was still our top goal scorer with 17 goals. Christian Monae is the highest average rater. Ivan Sanchez and Christian Monae are both getting 12 assists. So not bad from our right back there to get 12 assists in his first season. Guillermo Maripan is our best pass completion with 96. Ivan Sanchez, most player of the match awards with 5. Maxime Collin and Christian Monae, most yellow cards with 16. And Pedersen and Guillermo, 1 red card each. So at least Pedersen has calmed down a little bit, but he's still managing to get himself red cards. So, finances then. After spending a lot of money in that first Premier League season, we now have a transfer budget of £42 million. And I can feel a little bit better because the club currently has £63 million in the bank. Which means that no guilt about going and spending all of that £42.1 million. The wage budget is up to £901,000 and we are only committed to spending £634,000, so a big gap there. Scouting budget though has dropped to £314,000. We are on course for both the FFP in the Premier League and the Conference League, so a good second season. Right then, we are going to go on to Club Vision. Play entertaining football, very pleased. Develop players using the club's youth system, satisfied. Play attacking football, pleased. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team, they're satisfied with that. Play possession football, pleased. Play high tempo pressing football, that is something that we do. So the entertaining and high pressing, they're very pleased with. Work within the wage budget, on course, massive gap in that wage budget. Sign players to sell for a profit. We couldn't really do that in the first season, signing nobody, but we did it in the second season. So hopefully going forward now we will start to achieve that. Minimum 3-year contracts for the first team players. Spend the original transfer budget. So that nice little caveat added in there means that they're not guilty if we, or they don't feel guilty if we go and spend all that money. We don't have to feel guilty, so let's just go and do it. They want us to fight bravely against relegation in the Premier League. In the Conference League, I presume they want to get out of the group stage. Yeah, reach the first knockout round as a minimum. And now the club owners have decided that they want to sell the club. So going forwards, sell the club. Pretty simple. Let's have a look at the squad then, how that is developing. We hit the assistant report. You can see that our first team lineup is now Peacock, Farrell in goal, Collin, Roberts, Maripan, Monae, Longstaff, Bacuna and Neto, Powen, Sanchez and Kenny. So Kenny overtaking Troy Deeney, Maripan and Roberts forming the centre-back partnership, Monae, Peacock, Farrell in goal, Longstaff. So looking at it, I think next season probably a goalkeeper. Maybe get away with 1 more season with Peacock Farrell if he's done well in the Premier League, but certainly a left back, maybe a couple of centre backs. Gonna need some more midfielders. Longstaff, not sure, not convinced, but Bacuna and Neto. Neto is an absolute bargain. Powen, Sanchez and Kenny. So we're probably going to need 2 wide players as well who are quick. So that's 2 seasons down. We are halfway there. Can we push this team even further? What can we do in the third season? Let's go and spend that £41 million and show you exactly how we get on in season 3. Here we go then. Season 3 is complete. We are at the 1st of June 2024. It's been an absolute manic season. We started the business early. As always, we are going to go through the transfers. We're going to try and go through the ones on the right-hand side first, show you what has been happening. Kyle Hurst, Odin Bailey and Ivan Sanchez making their way at the club. Sanchez, the most important one of those, £7.25 million back in. Bailey raising $650,000. And we started spending money straight away. Akin Kunmi Amu. Not really heard of this player at all. 21 years old. Pace, acceleration, dribbling, first touch. Can finish too. Bit young, bit raw. But I think he's going to be an absolute bargain at £14.5 million. If we can get a tune out of him, I think he's going to be fantastic. We then signed Max Woba. I did say we might need a centre-back or two. And Max Woba is always a sure bet. Absolute steal when you're getting him for prices like £5.75 million. The next player, Matthias Razo, the wonder kid everybody talks about. Surprised we got him, really. He was at Granada in the game. We come along, picked him up. 27 to £32 million he's worth. Think he could be a bit of a steal. Not convinced, though, that he's as good in 22 as he was in 21. Stipe Biuk is the next player. A Croatian, one cap for the national team, can play left, can play right, can play through the centre. He was playing at the under-21 Euros, I think it was. Popped up on a scouting report. They said, go get him. We bought him in. I think he's going to be a bit of a baller too. We then signed Hubert Muboy Muamba, 21-year-old French defender, came from Hoffenheim. Not much to him, really. He's one who's just going to come in and make the numbers up. We really needed a few extra options in defence. I think that for a cup defender or maybe a defender to develop for a few seasons' time, paying £550,000 for him is an absolute steal. Right then, moving on, there is a lot more to go through. Players out. Juninho Bacuna went to Almeria for £9 million. Zach Geacock went to Crystal Palace for £145,000. Tyler Walker couldn't really make his stamp on the Premier League. Sold him to Sheffield United for £6.5 million. Nico Gordon went out. Scott Hogan, we had to get out on loan. Scott Hogan has been a headache in this save. He's a player that really just is annoying. He's not like Scott Hogan was a good footballer once upon a time. In this game at the moment, he's not. That is not like, I'm not knocking him as a person or as a footballer in real life, but in terms of the game, he's on a high wage. You can't get him in the team. Doesn't play very well. We were glad to get him off of the wage bill, I will be honest. Jacob Davenport ended up leaving. He went to Reading for £375,000. Another one who we bought in, hopefully just for numbers, but ended up moving him on. Ryan Sturck, Oriol Soldevilla, and Jordan James going out on loan to West Brom. But that means we had more money to spend. That means we bought a goalkeeper. As I said, I wasn't sure whether the goalkeeper we had, Peacock Farrell, was going to be the one. We went out and bought Elias Raffen Olafsson. He's a massive goalkeeper at 6'7", has great aerial reach. Popped up on a scouting report as available for transfer. We went and bought him £10 million. We bought Claudio Gomez from Manchester City. Can play in the midfield, can play in the defence. Not finished article at 23 years old, but he's a player who is a bit of a steady Eddie. Comes in as a rotation option on a free transfer. Michael Carbonic is a player who is in an Olympiacos shirt in his picture, playing for Brighton when we signed him. Play left back, can play right back. That's traditionally where we have struggled with squad depth. So to have a player who can play both of them and also play higher up the pitch, which is good for us. Rhys Oxford then came in for £10 million. Brought him home from Germany. He's a solid option as either a centre-back or a defensive midfielder. Jed Spence followed him through the door. £9.5 million. Just had a really good season in real life at Notts Forest. Yeah, another option. Can play high up the pitch. Can play as a left-back or right-back as well. So a brilliant sound option there. Leo Ostergaard comes in from Roma. He's a player who was a former wonder kid, I think. Picked him up relatively cheap, 24 years old. Another one could play left and right back and across the back. Matteo Gabbia, £4 million, AC Milan. It's really something when Birmingham City are now signing AC Milan players. Shows we are pushing the team forward, and that is the aim of the rebuild. So he's a sound option. Conrad De La Fuente, he's one of my boys. Pick him up wherever I can. He was on the potential superstars of FM22 right back at the start of the FM22 journey. Nothing else really to say about him apart from quick, fast, scores goals, can dribble. American. Fantastic player. The last player we picked up then was another AC Milan player, Yasin Adley. Quite cheap. We managed to pick him up after a scouting report. 23 years old, French, £5.75 million. Can't say much more than that. Right then, was all of this ins and outs? I mean, 56 million, 45 million the previous season. We recouped 19. I mean, some of that 45 million from the season before was the earlier transfers. But a big outlay for season 3. Was it worth it? Let's look at the competitions. A 4th place finish in the Premier League is what we have achieved. Board wanted us to fight bravely against relegation. We have done that, surpassed that. Going on to the other competitions then, the Conference League, we finished in the second knockout phase by being knocked out by Wolfsberger. We got through to the 4th round of the FA Cup and knocked out by Manchester United. Knocked out in the 4th round by Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup. So the board, we're getting there. Not 2nd round for a change. Let's look at the Premier League then. As always, are we getting any better? We are. So we played 38 games, 21 wins, 3 draws, 14 losses. So we're a team that either wins or loses. We don't really draw. That goal difference is still only 11, which is a little bit shocking with only 1 season to go. How can we improve that? Finished 20 points behind Liverpool in this season. Finished 12 points behind Tottenham and 11 behind Man City. But once again, we finished above Chelsea, Manchester United and Aston Villa, languishing down there in 10th place. So bragging rights within the 2nd city. Right then, player stats. So Kylian Mbappe has now joined Man City. As you do, he scored 30 goals, Mo Salah 25. No players of ours on the top 3. Nothing for the average ratings. Adrian Powen, 12 assists. No player of the match award listings. And for a change, we've got nobody in the naughty boys corner. Nobody in the top yellow cards. But if we go back as always and look at our players on the home screen, Johnny Kenny popping up now as our top goal scorer on 28 goals. Adrian Powen 7.39 for the highest average rating. 18 assists for him too. Maripan with the best pass completion. Kenny and Buick getting 5 player of the match awards each. Rhys Oxford getting 16 yellow cards. And Carbonic has come in and replaced Pedersen by getting himself 2 red cards. Right then, so that is the stats. What do the finances say? For the final tilt at trying to win the Premier League, we're going to get a £57 million transfer budget. The board now have 96 million. If only it was this easy in real life for Birmingham City to be raking in the money, I'm sure they would have no problems whatsoever. £57.7 million to spend. A £1 million wage budget now, with 30,000 roughly to play with there. In fact, no, it's more than that. It's 50,000 to play with there. So we are absolutely fine for cash. We are going to have another massive run at improving this team. So in terms of the club vision, we are very secure as a job security. Playing entertaining football and playing attacking football are good. High tempo pressing football, reserving judgment for some reason. We were fine with that last season, not this season. Work within the wage budget, on course. Spend the original transfer budget, we did that, and then probably a little bit more because we were turning players over. Premier League next season, fight against relegation again. So we are looking forwards, they are looking behind them. Champions League, obviously, I forgot to mention when I was looking at the league table, Champions League football for season 4. Reached the group stage at a minimum. So set the bar low, that's good. Continue remaining in the Premier League. We then get a contract renewal and to continue in the Premier League. So the board are actually becoming a lot more realistic. It's a little bit topsy-turvy because they were expecting to battle bravely. We finished in the Champions League places and now they want us to remain in the Premier League, but still at the end of next season only want to fight bravely against relegation. So can't really gauge where the board are with the club, but if we just keep doing the job we're doing, I'm sure we will be fine. Lastly then, a look at the squad. If we go to the assistant report, you can see the best 11 now is Olofsson, Carbonic, Gabbia, Oxford, Monae, So a complete new back five that we have purchased. Gomez, Adley and Neto, midfield three. We also purchased. I'm surprised to see Gomez in there as a free transfer from Man City, considering we have some really good midfielders. Yankov and Spence are the two wide players, and Johnny Kenny up top. So we're probably a little bit short of goals, even though Kenny was top goal scorer, only getting an 11 goal difference. I'm not too sure what that really means or how we can go about this, because obviously the goalkeeper's been upgraded, the back four's been upgraded, the midfield's upgraded. What have we got to do to make this a solid unit? So probably going to have to look at a defender, going to have to look at scoring more goals. So maybe another striker to come in, maybe a couple of void players. But we have one more season left at it. What can we do as we jump to season 4? Let's see the final season in the Birmingham City rebuild. Here we go then. Season 4 and the save is complete. Again, we had a massive transfer budget of 57 million to go and spend, and we have gone and spent the lot. We have had players leave, but we have brought players in. Let's start off on the right-hand side then, so you can see there are quite a lot of departures. Starting off with Ben Beresford, Sean Longstaff, £7.25 million, and Vontae Daly Campbell. So 3 players that we had brought in. There are some other players that have gone out along the way, but none of them really that important. Troy Deeney has gone out on loan. That actually happened at the end of last season. I'm not too sure why I didn't mention that. Jordan James was kind of where we stopped. There were a few more underneath, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The important thing is what happened on the left. So this is the 23-24 part of the season. We went and bought Benjamin Šeško, as you do. Everybody goes and buys Benjamin Šeško. When you need a goal or two, you go and buy Šeško. He will score you goals for fun. Brandon Williams was the next player to come in, £7.25 million. Another player who plays left back, right back, and can also move further up the pitch when needed. We then made the unusual move of going and stealing one of Aston Villa's brightest prospects. Jacob Ramsey is a player who really goes places. If you haven't checked out the England rebuild, go and do it. Check out how good Jacob Ramsey can be. He's always in and around my team, and he is one of those players who, in the centre of the park, is always a top player. Surprised that they sold him for £4.7 million to their biggest rivals. We then went and bought Ante Budimir. He is a player who can play on the wide left, can play up top, has some really good stats in terms of heading, finishing, penalty taking. Pace isn't great, acceleration's not great, but in terms of an overall player, 33 years old, so he's coming really just to back up, or he had come in to back up, because obviously you can see he's out on loan at Huddersfield. Things didn't work out, but he had come into the club to back up Šeško and Kenny and kind of got upset, so he ended up out on loan. But we continued the spending and the selling. So on the right hand side, there are a load of players there who went out on loans or on frees. We did sell Cameron Williams to Leeds for £4.2 million, rising to 12. Adrian Powen went to Basel for £13 million, and then a load more loans there. We continued spending the money though whilst it was there. We went and bought Evander for £9.25 million, another central midfielder, to just shore it up and hopefully stop the attacks that were coming through the centre of the park. He can break it up, he can play further forwards too. We signed Clayton, who is a regen. I think he's the first regen we have signed in the save. So 18 years old, 5-star potential against what we've got at the club already. He looks like a star in the making. We did end up loaning him to Millwall. We signed Ian Matson from Chelsea on a free, another left-sided wing-back who can play further up the pitch as well. Bit of a utility player. Don't know how much game time he's going to get, but he's there. Felix Nemeka is exactly the same. Wide left, wide right, can interchange. Probably going to be a, or was going to be a rotation option. You can see he ended up going out on loan to Hull. And then finally, the big money January signing. We only made one. We went out and made it a massive one. Giovanni Reina. Don't know how we got him. Had to break the bank. 150k in wage. He's 22 years old though, and look at him. He is an absolute outstanding footballer, and a footballer who, if Birmingham City could get in real life, he would be phenomenal for them. It's not going to happen though. So all that money spent, all those players in and out, what was the outcome of the final season of the save? Let's jump to the competitions tab then. We got so close. In fact, we weren't close. We were second in the league, Champions League football once again. So we have achieved what we were doing or looking to do, push the club as far as we could push them. Second place, 10 points behind Liverpool. But look at the teams that we have finished above. Leeds, Man City, Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal, Man United, Villa way down there in 11th place. Champions League, they wanted us to just make the group stages. We got to the quarter-finals, got knocked out by Bayern Munich. But look, we did get some silverware on the board. Emirates FA Cup Final. We beat Chelsea 4-3 in the final. A fantastic game. Let's show you the stats on that one. Yeah, absolute topsy-turvy game. It was a bit all over the place. Ansu Fati scoring for Chelsea, then Neto, then Fati, then Carbonic, then Neto, then Fati, and then Benjamin Šeško popping up with a winner right at the end. And we've won the FA Cup. So even though we haven't won a league or a Champions League in this one, we are looking just for successes. And I'm going to take the FA Cup because the last domestic cup that they won was 2011. It's now 2025 and we have another one on board. Fortunately, Carabao Cup, which they did win in the past, we only got to the third round and were knocked out by Everton. But let's look at this Premier League season then and try and break it down. So if you remember, the goal difference across the last couple of seasons was like 4 and 11. It's now 33. Across 38 games, 24 won, 4 draws, 10 losses, 33 goal difference and 76 point haul. Quite disappointed to say there is nobody in these average ratings, player stats, assists. We are just a quietly efficient team that go about getting points. The only one is Olofsson, and he got most clean sheets at 15, so it's decent enough. He's a goalkeeper that we've brought in and one that has performed. But if we go and look at our own stats, Benjamin Šeško came in and was instantly the top goal scorer at the club with 21 goals. Jed Spence had the highest average rating of 7.26. Evander most assists with 10. Matteo Gabiat with best pass completion at 97. Most player of the match awards was Šeško with 5. Brandon Williams got 22 yellow cards. And then Monae, Yankov, Spence and Brandon Williams all getting themselves a red card. So a fantastic final season. We have really done what we set out to do. We have pushed Birmingham City to the limit of 4 seasons. I mean, if we were to go further, we're going to show you in a second the finances. You can see the club is now set up. If we were to continue the save and go further, I'm not going to do it because I only wanted to do 4 years. But they've got 49 million to spend with a balance of 130 million pounds, passing FFP everywhere. Wage budget is now not an issue. Their scouting budget has gone through the roof. We really have developed this club. The board, if you remember, they were just looking to stay in the league every single season. They're now pleased with everything. We are untouchable, and A- for the performance. You can see we're on course to work within the wage budget, spend the transfer budget, play high tempo pressing football, pleased with the entertaining football and the attacking football. They now want to reach the group stage of the Champions League again as a minimum and finish mid-table in the Premier League. We look at the squad then. Assistant report, you can see it's completely been overhauled. Olofsson, Carbonic, Oxford, Gabiat, Brandon Williams, Gomez, Adley and Neto, Yankov, Spence and Benjamin Šeško. So they have gone from a team with a lot of players who were just championship players. We have developed and turned this squad right around. We have pushed them forwards. And to add to their trophy cabinet, we won the FA Cup. I know we couldn't bring any other successes, but for the first time in their history, Birmingham City are FA Cup winners. So I think that has been successful. It's a difficult one because I'd never started in the Championship before, but we have got them into the Premier League at the first time of asking. We have then gone on and won the FA Cup in 2025. We have stabilised the club and we are also leaving them in a position where they could go and probably close that gap to Liverpool with 1 or 2 shrewd signings. That's it then. The Birmingham City journey is complete. We gave ourselves 4 seasons to try and get them as far as we can. As I said, never took on a championship team before. We got out of the Championship at the first time of asking, got into the Premier League, turned them into a Europa Conference League team. Then we finished in the top 4, got in the Champions League. We then finished second. got into the Champions League once again and won an FA Cup. We have taken Birmingham City from a team that was predicted to finish 16th in the Championship and finish second in the Premier League, also adding silverware to the trophy cabinet. So it's been an absolute brilliant journey with Birmingham City. Obviously, being a Brummie, don't support a local team, but Birmingham City are a very reputable team. They have a big presence here in Birmingham. Having done an Aston Villa rebuild, I felt it only fair to do the Birmingham rebuild, and both of them have been absolute brilliant episodes. Right then, if you're at this point of the video and you're still listening, first, thank you very much for sticking around. Secondly, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please consider doing so. Helps me, helps the channel, helps get the videos out to so many more people, helps to bring this content to so many more eyes, and it also helps me to keep making these videos. But for this one, I'm going to end it there. Thank you for watching. Go and check out another video on the channel, and I'll see you soon.